Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. You got a little wet on the course today.
Yes. Yeah. It spit all day. Couple downpours. And honestly, when I pulled into the parking lot, it felt like it was going to be a lot worse than it was. But I didn't even need the rain gloves. But I also did ride in a cart. So,
Well, that'll do it.
a quick note on that. So they allow you to ride carts in this tournament. Why people still walk, it amazes me.
If there's any kind of weather, you can't walk. There's no reason.
No. Well, and not only that, it's like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage to people that are riding carts.
Yeah.
I'm saving energy from shot to shot for not walking.
That all true.
So,
yeah, and
not to get too much
the
into
weather
that,
makes
but
it no excuses.
Yeah, because I had an umbrella. Like, I had towel. I had like 4 towels in the back. I'm like, there's no way I could walk today. Not that I was going to, but I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Like, with all this crap that I got to carry, I was like, it's not going to happen. So,
yeah, so this week is Cincinnati Metropolitan Tournament, right? That's what Justin's playing in. Round 1, Clovernut Country Club, familiar grounds for you. So,
yep.
Dropped to 73. Left some out there, compared yourself to Rory McIlroy, which was a take.
Me and him really, really know how to get the least amount out of our rounds.
Yeah.
When you go out and hit 16 greens in regulation and find a way to shoot 2 over par, that is not great. But after reflecting, I had shot some hot takes over right after I was done, and I was not happy. I was not happy the way I finished. I missed short birdie putt on 16, made birdie on 17, missed another short one on 18. I'm pretty sure I gave myself a concussion because I hit my shaft into my head after I missed the last one on 18. But I've after some reflection, I was like, it's about the process, right?
Sure.
And I've said that on here. We're trying to become a Scotty Scheffler. It's about the process. It's not about the results. If you keep giving yourself chances, it'll work itself out. That's where we're sitting at. And I'll probably need another 74, maybe a 70, 75 would be close to making the cut for match play. So I probably need another 74 tomorrow at least. Elks Run is definitely the harder of the 2 courses for qualifying. But, again, process. If we hit the ball like we did today, there's no doubt in my mind that we will be in match play. And I've always coined myself, fair or not, a pretty good match play player. That's just because my ability to make, for the most part, my ability to make birdies makes me a good match play player. There are a lot of great golfers that are like all pars, couple birdies, 70. I'm like 7 birdies, 6 bogeys, and like 4, 3 or 4 pars thrown in there somewhere. That's my game. So in match play, that's great. In stroke play, it's like, okay, that's still good. It's not great, but it's still good. In match play, I'm beating that guy 5 and 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just got to get in the tournament.
Just gotta get in.
Yeah, T32 I think I just saw. So I mean you're right there. I mean it's on your club tomorrow.
Like I said, if we just hit the ball tomorrow like we did today, no doubt in my mind we'll be playing in a match on Wednesday.
We'll see if Elks travel because Hamilton Elks to Elks Run. It's like a away home game for you.
It is. I'll feel right at home.
Yeah. All right, well, on to the big boy golf. U.S. Open.
Whew.
Wyndham Clark, 10 under, wins by a shot over one Rory McIlroy.
Very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was weird. I won't lie, it was weird.
I don't want to take anything away from Wyndham Clark. No. It's not fair.
No.
But I'd heard this said a couple times, and people were referencing, like, this win is going to be just like so-and-so's win. Most of them were mentioned, Gary Woodland. It's like, he wins. He's not even sniffed another one, right? Or another major in general. Yeah, I don't know. That's so bad. I don't want to take it away from Wyndham Clark. That it just seemed very anticlimactic. You had all these big names up there, and it's just like Wyndham Clark wins. And again, he's obviously a great golfer. It's just not the Rory or the Schefflers or the Cam Smiths. They just, I don't know, felt very anticlimactic. Happy for the guy, cool story. Just very anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think it was just weird the way that the scoring broke at the end where, you had a couple guys earlier in the day going low, notably Tommy Fleetwood shot 63.
Yeah.
John Rahm dropped to 65. There were seemingly numbers out there, and pretty much everyone in those last four groups just kind
right
of
around
stayed.
Par. Yeah, it's right around par, maybe one over. You might have had a guy at one under. They didn't really, not a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just kind of the only thing that was going to happen late was Wyndham would continue to make bogeys, which he bogeyed 15 and 16. So that kind of opened the door, but it really could have been over if he had parred those two holes.
And that's and part of it was, other than 15 and 16, he didn't really make a lot of mistakes. So you're just waiting for him to where's that double going to come? All right, where's that? He did have one where he whiffed the ball, but he kind of came back after that. But it's you were just kind of waiting for that, where's those three bogeys in a row going to come and let everybody back in on hole 9 through 12. And it's it happened kind of late, and then it kind of didn't give Rory a chance. He had to kind of birdie one of the hardest holes in the course, and we kind of got, a 2-putt, clean it up winner. So.
Yeah, before we can get more into the golf here as we go, but you took to Twitter, you took to social media last night.
I did.
You have some takes about the course itself, Los Angeles Country Club.
And this, it's so funny. I started doing this.
Hold on, let me do this while you settle
let's
in.
Get this, yeah.
I don't even know what I'm drinking right now. I walked into a UDF and I was like, there's not much here. We'll try these White Claw vodka sodas. It's the fake High Noons.
I'm about to find out.
Wild cherry. Ugh, who knows?
Cherry can go one way or the other. It's either cough medicine or it's pretty good. Can we get an on-spot review?
It's not bad. Honestly, if you get a cherry flavor, flavor ice popsicle, kind of like that.
Okay, I can live with
this
that.
This is better than the black cherry White Claw.
Huh.
Wild cherry greater than black cherry. Anyway, back to Los Angeles Country Club.
So I started writing this before he bogeyed 15 and 16. I'm like, all right, he's got a bit of a lead. I need to get this off my chest, now. And more so to put it down so he could talk about it today, because I'm terrible at writing things down. I'm like, if I can just put this on Twitter, I'll remember it. So let's start with this. I'm going to give kudos to LACC for a couple reasons. It is a very unique course.
Yeah, the course is sick. I won't lie. Just watching the course and seeing them, hit shots out there. Now, granted, the long Bermuda rough would just take my soul if I ever played there. I thought the shots on many of the holes, there are a few duds, but the majority of the time I was enjoying watching the course.
Yes. Again, very unique course. Got the cool views with the city in the background and Sunset Boulevard. You had the Playboy Mansion right there. All that stuff was cool, right? There's Lionel Richie's house. Oh, that's kind of cool, right? I thought in the beginning, what it was kind of working me up is the overdoneness of the privacy of that place. And it's for 99.9% of golfers, that is not golf, right? 99.999% of us don't belong to a country club like this, nor do we. I'll be frank with you. I've played at places like that are no cell phones outside the locker room, this and that. Those places, I would never, even if I had the money, I would not be a member at a place like that because it's not fun. It's just not, It's, to me, it kind of tipped me, what started to kind of eat at me was this is rolling back golf, not non-inclusive, the non-inclusive period of golf, which has pretty much been up until the last, since Tiger Woods came in, into our lives. So I was just like sitting there, and I'm like, all right, I got to get this off my chest. First things first. So kudos, unique. Love the par 3 that played 81 yards. I thought that was great TV.
I thought it was a little hype, to be honest. I thought it would be cooler than it was, but yeah, I mean, still cool.
Great TV though.
Played
Like
81.
these guys are trying to fillet wedges into a tucked pin, like, and they're getting stuck up there. I didn't see anybody hit it in the back bunker. I don't think it was dry enough for that. But I thought it was cool. It was like, you don't see that every day.
Yeah.
And this will kind of lead to my next, like, one of the first points I want to bring up is the par 3s. 280-yard par 3s, in theory, sound awesome. Right? Oh, God. Like this.
No, this sounds terrible. But
You know, it's like, oh, like I want to see the pros play. Most of the great par 3s in golf are under 175 yards.
Yeah.
Distance does not make a great hole.
No.
And that goes for par 4s and par 5s. Right? It could be the shortest par 4 in the world. If it's got cool, unique aspects to it, it's going to be a good hole. It doesn't matter how long it is. It doesn't have to be 500 yards. So these par 3s that, you know, they had, what was this? 3 of them, wasn't it? You had 7, 11, and then then you had the short one, and then you had like 9, which, by the way, 9 was one of my favorite holes in the entire tournament.
Yeah, I love 9.
It's like 175, played up to 190. Thought it was a really cool hole. But the long par 3s, it's try hard to me. It's like, where can we add distance without actually adding distance and make it just stupid? I don't want to see Colin Morikawa hit a 3-wood off a par 3 tee. Sorry, not entertaining to me. It's just not. So that's my first thing. I really, really liked 15. Or was it 15, the short par 3?
Yeah.
15 was, even when it played 120, and then Sunday they had that back pin, which I thought was really cool. The long par 3s were overhyped. Like, oh, look at 11, it's down the hill. It's got a great view, but it's a stupid hole. So that's my first point. Second point, and honestly, probably the most important point. This place was not built to host a tournament like this.
No, absolutely not.
In fairness, most of the older courses are not, but they don't even have the room to make it available, you know, make it for fans, right? Like some of these places like Oak Hill and stuff like that, they have some room they can kind of expand. Like this place couldn't expand if it wanted to. And it's just not built for a tournament where hypothetically you would want 75,000 to 100,000 fans attending. I heard that they were only selling upwards of 20 to 25,000 tickets a day.
Yeah, I think it was, the number was 23,000, and then among that was like 14,000 were basically like corporate hospitality, which were out the ass expensive for regular everyday people.
Almost impossible for a regular day person to go see the US.
Yeah, so you got about 9,000 or so like kind of general admission, you know, tickets available for regular people to buy.
Yeah, and when it comes to that, and we all know about the Super Bowl, right? It's all corporate. Mm-hmm. Most of the people there are corporate, and it lacked the fans just. I don't know. It lacked that frenetic I think this is exactly what I said. It lacked the frenetic energy of what you would hear at a major, and I said, you know, Amen Corner on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Now, there wasn't a whole lot to cheer about, like, because we just said, like, the last 4 groups really didn't. Because there was so few people, you didn't get those big roars. You didn't get the, you know, guys turning around like, oh, what was that? Like, kind of, you know, what just happened? You just didn't get it.
Which I think disadvantages someone like Rory McIlroy, right? Like, the place would be going nuts if he did anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
like,
he's a player that feeds on
17,
that.
right? He hits that just absolute fucking moonshot of a 6-iron from like 200 yards. Unbelievable shot. And it got a little loud, but you're like, oh yeah, nice shot. Like, dude, I don't think you realize how hard it is to hit a fucking 6-iron to the moon and landed on, I think they said it was like 20 feet wide back there.
Yeah.
And he like rolled it onto the back fringe, like barely onto the back fringe. I think at any other major that would have been, like if that happened at Oak Hill, Rochester fans were off the hook for Oak Hill. Like, they would have been going nuts. Like, especially if he was up by the lead like he was. It would have been crazy. And it wasn't because, again, the corporate atmosphere, not a lot of fans. And like I said, 18 didn't even have a freaking grandstand behind it.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. You mentioned that, but I was unclear.
So our buddy Gunther mentioned, he goes, well, I see one back there. It was actually on another hole. It kind of faced that tee box and 18 green. So you could see 18 green, but it was really far away. And the guys on Subpar had mentioned when they were interviewing Billy Ho that they talked about that the members did not want grandstands back there because, God forbid, we didn't see their stupid fucking clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
That was the reasoning behind it. The membership wanted everybody to see their big fancy clubhouse because they're going to try to grow their membership, which they're not, because it's $200,000 to get into that freaking place, if you can even get in. So we'll move on. I could go all day on that one subject. LA sports fans are fucking garbage. Oh, everybody knows this. Hell, half the fucking Rams fans aren't even in Los Angeles. They're in St. Louis. They don't ever show up to anything. And if they do, they're out by 3:30. And I made an Entourage. You didn't get it because you haven't seen Entourage. I was like, God, Scotty Scheffler's got the number one golfer in the entire world has 4 holes to play on Thursday. And there were fucking 7 people in one of the stands.
Yeah, we were watching on Thursday, and Susie's like, where are all the people? I was like, I guess it's L.A.
They had it, and this is my Entourage. You didn't get it. I was like, God forbid you're a little late to your fucking reservation at Koi. Okay? Cheezel Pete's. Stay around. Fucking watch the number one player in the world. Yeah. Finish out. Like, garbage. They're the worst sports fans in the world. One, because they just have too many teams. I mean, I know it's a gigantic city. They have too many teams. And honestly, they're not sports people. Rochester, New York, Buffalo's close. We know how crazy Buffalo Bills fans are. Like, these places, Wisconsin, when they have it at Whistling Straits, crazy sports fans up there. They just are. They're just better sports fans. LA, trash for. And now, not everybody that was there was from LA, I'm sure. The majority of them were. Especially with only 22,000 tickets. I would imagine if they weren't corporate, they were some kind of attached to a member at that course. Probably mostly LA people.
Right.
I got 2 more points. I swear I'm gonna get to the end of this.
I'm gonna put you on the clock.
Okay. The leader being double digits under. And look, I don't like to judge tournaments by how, because Wyndham Clark played some really, really, really freaking good golf. But so did 18 other guys. They're under par. We talked about identity of golf tournaments, right? What's the PGA's identity? We know what the Masters identity is. Well, the USGA, 20 years ago was like, this is the toughest test in golf. Well, is it? Not. But if you make your identity that, it's got to stay that. You can't have a year where I can't differentiate whether I'm watching the Wells Fargo or the U.S. Open. Fair or not, that's kind of where I stand on that. And I won't go too much into that. We can keep going. But my last point is all that put together, like you said, the fans, a lot of those were corporate tickets and stuff like that. One of the holes, I think it was like 13 and 14. You couldn't even get within 200 yards of the green and the tee box.
Yeah.
This is not the People's Championship at this place. It wasn't. It was not built, again, like I said previously, not built for fans. We got to show off our stupid fucking clubhouse behind 18 green that no one cares about. That looks like every other clubhouse at a course that has $200,000 initiation fees. It's just, is the peak of stupidity. It really was. Like a lot of the stuff that happened. And then because they didn't have stands on 18, they let all the fans out on the fairway. I'm sitting there thinking the first thing went across my mind, playoff,
Send everybody back.
It's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? I don't know. This year just was very underwhelming, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer because I told you U.S. Open is my favorite major, and it just didn't. Other than the time slot that they played in, just didn't do it for me this year. Just didn't do it for me this year, and I'll end it with that.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot there. Obviously, I'm not going to back the LA sports fans. I'll leave that to you. Just so everyone is clear. Justin Napier hates LA sports fans.
Come at me. I don't care. They're the worst sports fans in the world. And they know
goes.
it. And they know it. If they looked in a mirror, they know it too.
So that was that. I already mentioned I like LACC as a course. You agreed there. All good.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you that, like, there was no juice at this thing.
None.
Like, at all. Even the more exciting moments, when you had, late on Saturday when Scotty's holding out for eagle on 17 and, it's just, there was just like, no, I don't know if it was NBC's audio. I don't know if there was no one there. It was truly just like,
and I think Paul Azinger doesn't do it for me either. I love Smiley Kaufman. Smiley Kaufman is really good on course. I really enjoyed him.
Okay, God, this is where I'm going to get people in, coming for me.
Oh, God.
I think I'm at the point with NBC where the only redeemable person on their broadcast is John Wood.
He's pretty good. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Everyone else,
I don't know. I heard a
either
little Morgan
stinks or is
Pressel. Morgan
low-key.
Pressel was on there early in the week. She wasn't bad.
Good point. Morgan Pressel was great too.
I mean, like Smiley Kaufman, he's just got that young guy feel. Kind of makes people of all skill levels kind of feel like they know what's going on. I don't know. He kind of speaks it in like general terms, and he's younger, and like the players like him. Like he's not terrible, but like Paul Azinger, just like. He's too dry. And maybe
he
that's
just
what
says
it
the
is.
same things over and over again.
Yep, he does.
And he's wrong like 60% of the time.
All the time.
There was that time where the ball moving, and he's like, "Oh, it's going to stop." Ball's still moving.
That was Wyndham Clark on 9. That was Wyndham Clark. Moving. He goes, "Yeah, that's not going to come down much farther." It literally came down the hill another 14 feet.
And it was like a tap in.
Well, that made it further than I thought. I don't even know that course that well, and I remember that front part of that green, like from previous days. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to get pretty close.
Look, I mean, this is no offense to anyone, but also all the offense. Noto Begay is out there doing the last group at the U.S. Open because he's Tiger Woods' friend.
Pretty much.
Like John Wood was doing the group ahead, which the group ahead was Scotty and Rory, so maybe there's they wanted him on that. I think John's excellent, so I do. I'll stand for
really
John.
liked him. Yeah,
he's like one of the few that adds value with his commentary. Everyone else is just kind of like, oh, the ball's in the air and it's going this way, and couldn't quite see it come down, and then someone's like, oh, that's in a bad spot, or oh.
Well, I heard a couple times this week, and I can't remember who it was, and it might have been Noto Begay. He's like, oh, this is leaking a little right, and like landed. It'd be like 4 feet from the pin. You're like, what fucking shot were you watching? Because I'm waiting, like, he says it's, like, on a bad line, and I'm like, or, like, not a great line, and I'm like, all right, where's it going to land? Right. Like, I'm looking in the bunkers and stuff, and it's like, oh, there it is. It's on the green, 4 feet away. Like, how?
And there's so many times where guys were hitting it in spots, and they're like, oh, my God, it's just, like, impossible from there, and then
it's like 12 feet.
Yeah, less than that, like, up and down, automatic, like, all day. Like,
I know Noto Begay said something on Saturday, if you remember when Wyndham Clark hit it left, I think it was like on 13 or 12 or something. And he's just like, oh, I wouldn't want to hit a wedge from this lie. And you get up there and it's like on matted down Bermuda. Like it was almost fairway. And I'm like, honestly, for missing it 40 yards left, he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. And maybe some of that was NBC and combination of NBC and the lack of fans, and like I think I sent it in our group chat. I'm like, man, on a Sunday U.S. Open, I wanted at Whistling Straits with 100,000 hammered Wisconsinites just screaming and yelling at every turn.
Yeah, I get it.
That's I don't know. That's just kind of.
I'm with you.
I could hammer that point all day, but
I think we're going to get back to we've already gone way off the rails in terms of the tournament, but just real quick while we're off the rails anyway. Upcoming venues. I think you're going to get your U.S. Open back.
Next year.
Next year we got Pinehurst.
Yeah, Pinehurst number 2. That'll be a good one.
2025 Oakmont. 2026 Shinnecock Hills. 2027 back to Pebble. 28 we're at Wingfoot. But still fine.
But
New York
I
fans.
actually don't mind Wingfoot. As Pebble is like, it's just been so overdone at this point. I mean, like, it was been there at this point. It's going to be there 3 times in the last 25 years. It's like,
Well, I mean,
and most people would agree with me on this point that Pebble is like the most overrated. Like, it's not even the best course at the resort. Like, it's not.
Yeah, I know, but
Cypress Point's like probably the best course out there, but
it's one of those things where you just can't, like, that stretch of holes like in the middle of the round where you're on the cliffs.
Yeah,
like
the views are unbelievable.
Yeah,
Don't get me
and
wrong.
if you get a little bit of wind, it
can be a little
holds
ugly.
up.
Yeah, but like Shinnecock, I mean, like those are going to be. We've got a good stretch coming here, I think.
Yeah, and then I mean, it's supposedly going to come back to LACC 2039. Who knows? That's forever away.
None of us are here at 2039, so we don't have to see that again.
And then Pinehurst is like, it's their anchor site, right? So it's like an every 5 or 6 year thing. So anyway, that's kind of they've kind of got a rota built out here at this point. So back to this tournament specifically, we got to talk Rory.
Man, it just had the vibes of the Open last round. I mean, just putting himself in really good spots and just nothing fell. I mean, it happens. I mean, it does. Like, coming from someone where it's like it happened to me today, it happens. Sometimes it just doesn't. The ball does not roll your way. It just doesn't. And then, unfortunately, it's been 2 times in the last 2 years for him in a major.
Yeah, I think the difference between the two is like last year at the Open, Cam Smith like went out and took it. This year, no one really did. Like, it was sitting there for him to go get.
I know, and he
just couldn't. Like, he even said in his post round, he's like, it was kind of hard to hit it close enough to really have a lot of makeable birdie putts.
Yeah,
and he just burnt the edge from like 20 feet all day.
And then when he did hit one close on 9, it's like he didn't even scare the hole.
Yeah,
it's like
the bogey in 14 was just a killer. Like, to get that break after that embedded ball, and then
that was the best TV of the weekend, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That chick bending down, like, is it embedded? And she's, like, sticking her fingers in them. I'm like, oh, my God, what is going on here?
That was one of the ones I posted on Instagram. Like, you gotta
such a good break, and he just failed to take advantage of it.
Well, I mean, and before that, right, he's got a wedge in his hand. And
well, you knew that was going to come back at some point. He was hitting his wedges way too good this week. And I didn't check the guy that was tracking his wedges, but just from the eye test standpoint, it felt like they were really good until that one.
Yeah,
or at least pretty good until that one.
I don't have any exact wedge data, but he was 15th in approach for the week. Probably had a fair number of wedges in that.
I mean,
and that's a pretty good result for him with where he had been, in the 40s and 50s strokes gained approach every week.
Yep.
But the putter let him down. He was 29th, first off the tee, first tee to green. Wyndham, of course, was third around the green, fourth in putting, but second off the tee. Just
my God, dude, that guy is so long,
mashing it.
I mean, I think I said it when he hit that tee shot on 12. He cut it up through the trees, and it's just like, dude, that's a man. Like, you hit that tee shot on a Sunday in the U.S. Open, that is an absolute man.
Yeah.
And then he had flip wedge into that hole that Paul Azinger said was impossible to get it close. And it's like, but I mean, unbelievable. He was unbelievable off the tee.
Yeah.
Long and straight, and straight, too.
I don't know. I'm overall encouraged on Rory, and I love all of his comments this week about, look, he basically said, he's like, I'll go through 100 of these Sundays if it means I win one more.
Yeah.
And he was like, my entire career I've just kept coming back, and I'm going to keep coming back. And those are the things you love to hear, because it would be really easy for him to get apathetic at this point.
He's gonna get one here soon. It's gonna happen. Like I said, he didn't get the rolls at the Open last year and this year, and if he keeps putting himself in positions like that on Sunday, he's gonna get. He's just too good not to get one. Yep.
And he. A couple weeks here goes back to the place he won an Open championship at Hoylake. So
I think this might be
could be a good spot.
Yeah. Ricky.
You want to go Ricky next? Okay.
Yeah, man. It was sad on Sunday. He just played such good golf up until Sunday. But he was kind of living on the edge of his seat with the putts he was making. I mean, he was hitting the ball good. Like, don't get me wrong, like to get himself in those positions, but man, it just the putts stopped falling and it just kind of all came crumbling down at that point. And I was sad. I was like, man, I was like, this will be a good capper to him making his comeback, and just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, when he was, Thursday, Friday, it was like birdie or bogey. He was like the ultimate roller coaster.
Yeah, they said on Saturday, I think it was like on his 6th and 7th holes, it was like his first back-to-back pars since like hole 4 and 5 on Thursday.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I think it was Friday or Saturday. I remember looking at Susie and being like, look, if that putter goes cold, we're in trouble.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
And it didn't necessarily go cold. I just think he just stopped making the putt, like the birdie putts he was making earlier.
Well, for the tournament, he was 8th tee to green and 17th putting. But for round 4 specifically, 51st tee to green, 52nd putting.
Yeah.
That's not gonna do it.
So he stopped hitting the ball well and he stopped putting well.
Yeah,
that's a tough combination.
Look, the guy hasn't tasted the smoke in years at this point. To try to do it at a major to come out and win, that's
tough. That's a tough ask.
Probably could have seen that written.
But congrats to him and Xander for breaking the U.S. Open record for low round 62. First 2 62s happened to come on the same day that I bet Ricky first round leader. I get another 62 thrown on top of my bet, and I have to split it. So that's awesome. But,
I hate to laugh at your pain, but I was cracking up. I was like,
what are the chances I pick a guy that breaks the U.S. Open record for low round and I get another guy the same freaking day?
Speaking of Xander, just to jump down a little bit, shoots that 62 the first round, so he's 8 under after the first round. Ends up 3 under in the tournament, so he's 5 over from that point on. Just not good. Had the whole incident with the bunker on Saturday.
Oh my god, dude, that was rough to watch. It was just it's like not once. It's like the LeBron thing.
Not one,
not 2,
not 3. He
it was brutal, man.
We know 2 shots from the same bunker is an 8 off, but I don't know what 3 is. We're gonna have to do some research. We got a new name to come up with.
The Stalin.
Oh God, I don't know. So Scotty just ho-hum, 3rd place.
He is the machine, man. It's
unreal.
Machine.
I didn't really get it going on Sunday, but just was always around. And of course, it was him and Rory both for the week. I already said Rory was 29th in putting. Scotty was 37th. Continues to say putting's not a problem. We all know it's a problem.
He did make some putts this week, though. I will say that. He made a couple putts that I was like, but then he was, there was a couple of shorties that are like, man, you just don't expect anybody to miss those, let alone the number 1 golfer in the world. But his 17th and 18th hole on Saturday were just absolute electric.
Oh,
Holing out and then birdie in 18. I don't know who you sent, but if someone said this, it was like, 17's 522, 18's like 498, and he played it in 5 shots.
yeah, it was stupid.
Like, that is just asinine.
It was like 1,200 yards of golf holes and played
he
in
played
5
it in
shots.
5 freaking shots. Honestly, that was the most excited I got in that tournament. I was sitting in the hotel room on Saturday night watching it, and I didn't believe my eyes when I went in, and it's like, all right, hits one close on 18. It's like, Jesus, the guy's unconscious right now. And I'm like, we need to let's just roll it over and play the last round right now.
Yeah.
But no, that was a cool moment for him on Saturday.
Yeah, it pretty much, if he's gonna putt a little better than average, he's probably gonna win anything he tees it up in right now.
He just hasn't done it.
The only thing you worry about is maybe he just doesn't sustain this ball striking and the putter never comes back. Then
It looked like that earlier on in the week. It was like, oh,
he was off to a rocky start.
It's like he's not hitting the ball well, and we know how he's putting, But
yeah, a couple other notables. Rahm back toward the top 10 after a really rough start.
Insane.
Sunday 65 to get there, pretty good. Can Smith dropped 67 to solo 4th.
Love watching him play golf. By the way.
Very notable coming up again as he defends the Open title in a couple weeks.
I miss watching him play a lot. His swing, I don't know who I was talking to this about today, but it's like, man, he's just fun. And the way he putts the ball too, it's It's just fun. It's fun to watch. I love watching him play golf. So
Yeah, and then we another live boy, DJ, top 10, but he was 6 over on the second hole alone. He made a quad on Friday, which I had it on in the background, and it was like just an epic meltdown. It was
and by the way,
so
it was
bad.
like one of the easier holes on the course.
Yeah, it was crazy. Everyone talked about 1 and 2 were like your get it chances at the start, and then you
Well, it's
go
like
from
he
there.
quad. We had him in the parlay, and it was like he almost came back from that. Almost.
No, he did.
Oh no, he did come back from that.
He
Yeah, that's right.
birdied the 18th hole to tie Matt
That's
Fitzpatrick
right. He
in his
did.
matchup
That's
bet.
right. Yeah, I was thinking of another match.
But then, of course, Patrick Reed out of nowhere, Xander Schauffele after dropping a 62 goes over par in the second round. Cost us some cash there. Then just a lot of notables here that didn't really compete.
Man,
Morikawa.
Brooks laid an egg this week. I wasn't expecting that after Oak Hill.
Yeah, still came, like I think, T17. Morikawa, Cantlay, Brooks, Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Bryson, all top 20s, but really were never around. Bryson was like an absolute yo-yo in this tournament. He would like start to creep up, and then all of a sudden he's just gone.
Yeah.
But interesting to see him, seemingly playing well. That's 2 majors in a row.
Just because I had a bet on this, Sam Bennett just like absolutely laid an egg this weekend.
Yeah,
he made the cut.
So
he was in 8th place, and it's like I think I don't know what he finished. But he was 45th place going into Sunday.
Yeah, he looks so solid Thursday,
and it
Friday.
just kind of fell apart. They didn't really show much of him, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up just because I had a top 20 bet on him, and I was like, I'm in pretty good shape right now. 7th place, 2 rounds ago.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. Then he almost hit Scheffler with a ball on Saturday. Did you see that?
I missed that.
So Scheffler was standing on 15T and just flies right over his head. He was on 14, Scheffler was on 15, just flies right over his head.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there goes my top 20.
He buzzed the tower.
Yeah.
Did not get permission for a flyby. Spieth, Max, Justin Thomas, and regrettably Justin Rose, who we love this week, all missing the cut. Gutted for Max. I mean,
man,
I wanted that so bad for him.
He might not have won, but just to make the weekend and
Yeah.
a bunch of family there, it'd have been cooler to see him play on the weekend. But
yeah, JT broken. Justin Rose the first round was just so weird because he actually played pretty decent in the second. And then Spieth, it was the typical all over the place. Didn't quite. I think he missed the cut maybe on the number or by 2
I think so.
by the end of it.
Yeah.
Real quick, favorite moment of the week. Favorite shot, moment, whatever you want to go with.
I just said it. I think it was 17 and 18 for Chef. I know he didn't win, but
yeah,
17 and 18. That was the most worked up I got for the whole tournament. Like when I was watching him play those 2 holes, I was like, "This is pretty cool."
Yeah,
you just don't see that. I mean, those 2 tough holes back to back. Guy goes around in 5 shots. Like that's pretty incredible.
That was definitely probably the most juice that I got from the weekend. Probably my favorite. I mean, just because I got to go with this, Xander taking 3 from the bunker on 1 was.
Yeah, that was something.
That was
good TV. Honestly,
yeah, I was dying. Probably the best shot. I mean, there's a couple. Tommy Fleetwood had some incredible fairway woods into some holes on Sunday en route to that 63.
See, I didn't get to watch. I was at a
I had it
basketball
on
camp
early.
all day, and I didn't really. By the time I got in the car to come back, he was through 10 holes or something like that. So I didn't really get to watch.
It was
much of
2 or
his.
3 different times with fairway woods that he almost holed out. So that was pretty incredible. But the shot of the tournament, I think, was Wyndham Clark's wood into 14.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Once he hit that pin high, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
we're kind of done here.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Then he bogeyed 15 and 16 to kind of make it interesting.
But that was pretty good.
But it was so cool. It was a classic react. How many times have you hit a ball and almost gone to your knees, just begging it, please just be right? And just to see him do that,
a lot more than I'd like to admit. But yeah.
So I thought that was a great moment. All right, we're gonna embrace debate here.
Okay.
Who needed the back 9 6-pack this week? For U.S. Open, there weren't as many big numbers as you kind of talked about. I think I saw this was the lowest scoring average in U.S. Open tournament history. Granted,
added to the list of trashness of this tournament.
It was a par 70, so there's a little, that's a little bit a part of it.
You need the 2 par number. Like how many over par?
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, I don't know what it was relative to par. That's a different case. But both of these happened in round 2. We had Justin Thomas, of course, shooting an 81. Looked like it could have been worse than that
and Kobe.
For quite a while. Yeah, him and Kobe. R.I.P. And then, look, I don't want to bash on him because he qualified for this as his first major. But Hank Lebioda did shoot an 83 in the second round. So we need to discuss. Would you like the breakdown of how these two went down?
Look, one of them is a major winner and one of them is not. One of them is a world-class golfer. One of them is a great golfer, okay? The world-class golfer shot 81.
It's true.
The great golfer shot 83. Honestly, I think a lot of great golfers could go out on that course and probably shoot 83. But a world-class golfer, you can't muster up the fucking nuts to break 80. I'm sorry, that gets that. I don't even need to see the breakdown in nines to know that that's exactly who gets it.
All right, well, JT, I'm going to break it down for you anyway. JT went 40-41. Or maybe it was 41-40. I don't know which side he started on first. But Hank Lebioda, same thing. I don't know which side he started on first, but it was a 39 and a 44.
It's rough.
And this 44...
You're not making it easy for me, Hank.
This is like a weekend round for me, kind of 44. He had 8 5s on the card. Almost pitched the perfect game. But he bogeyed 15 for a 4.
I mean, that's bad. I'm sorry. I can't rag on the little guys. I mean, it's hard to do.
I'll do this for selfish purposes. I will ride with you on JT only because I want him to get the back 9 6-pack bump.
Hopefully.
And hopefully we can cash in on it. Because guess who was there in the 50-1 for JT this week?
I was too. So he has to get it. Like, you can't. You make the turn. You muster up you get some balls and break 80. That's what you do. I didn't even play that bad on the front today, and I got a couple beers at the turn. Like, come on. If I can do it, he can do it. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I will ask you, there's been, a lot of people speculating he's hurt. I've kind of bought into that theory because I just feel like it can't be this bad.
It can't be, man.
Our buddy Nick brought it up. He was like, yo, what if he just lost it?
It happens. It happens. Look at Ricky. He lost it.
The difference, though, is like Ricky tried to make swing changes, right?
Yeah, but Ricky has an obscure, like, even he still does, but before everybody even said he's way too flat. Like, it's hard to square up the club. It's hard to consistently square up the club face when you're that flat. So he didn't have the picture perfect swing that JT has.
Yeah.
That's what makes us even. But I'm telling you, like, we all know how golf is. We're talking millimeters, not inches, not centimeters, millimeters of a difference. And when you don't have that confidence compared to when you do, those millimeters seem like inches, and when you have it, those millimeters seem like nothing, right? Like, and I don't think he's hurt. I definitely just think he's. I mean, look at Billy Ho. I mean, the guy last year was kind of not a world beater, but like he was just always there. And then now it's like guys struggling, And he talked a little bit. I brought up subpar earlier. I listened to the episode. They interviewed him, and he's just like, man, golf's just one of those sports. It's like you can be the best of the best, and it's like when you're mentally not there, or you're whatever it is, like you just lack a little bit of confidence, like especially on the courses we play, like it gets a spotlight gets shined on it, right? And maybe that's what he's kind of going through right now. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So
well, it'll be interesting to watch, especially in a Ryder Cup year. Feels like unless he just keeps dropping 80s, he's going to be on the team. His Ryder Cup record, President's Cup record, too good.
Way too good.
He's one of the leaders of the clubhouse, so to speak. But yeah, definitely interesting to watch where that goes from here.
Yep.
JT needed the back 9 6-pack this week. Looks like he got it, by the way, with Max, him, a couple sad miscut boys. How about Max straight up calling it? He said it, Wyndham Clark at -10.
I mean, Hell, I think even last week we were talking like, oh, it's going to be low, under par, but very low, maybe
Yeah.
even. It's like, heck, and I'm again kind of referencing the belly ho thing that I just listened to yesterday. It's like he even said he was like, man, he's like if it's as firm as it was in the practice rounds, like I could see even par being a pretty good number. And I think I heard they watered on Wednesday night, and some of the marine layer just never allowed it to get back to that firmness.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. But yeah, that's pretty cool that he guessed that because I would have never. Yeah, I would have never guessed one Wyndham Clark and one that had been that far under. So,
speaking of course conditions, USGA, I think this is the second year they gave an award to the superintendent and the crew at the course. We had our own superintendent on the pod.
yes, he's going to get this award one day. He deserves. If he doesn't, I'm going to make my own award for him and I'm going to give it to him.
That'd be sick.
But he was our guest. Awesome. You didn't know him at all. We go way back when I was working the cart barn at Glenview Golf Course when I was like 15 years old. He was just cutting his teeth, getting into the greens crew there. But I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. Prepare to get educated, right?
Definitely educated.
Stop bitching about the greens. Stop bitching about the course conditions and realize how hard these guys work. And I think our boy Dan Francis is going to give a good insight to why you shouldn't be bitching at these guys.
No doubt.
So, all right, here's Dan Francis, superintendent from Wildwood Golf Club in Middletown, Ohio. All right, today we have a guy that goes way back. We go way back to Glenview days. feels like yesterday. It was pretty long ago at this point. He's one of my top 5 Twitter follows. If you don't follow him, you need to. A lot of interesting content for golfers. Fellow girl dad. Mitch doesn't know anything about that, but he is a Class A superintendent at Wildwood Golf Club in Middletown, Ohio. We have Dan Francis. Welcome, Dan. How's it going?
I'm good, Justin. I'm really glad that you said Glenview because I was going round and round because I wasn't sure if it was Green. Did we play any golf at Green Hills, or was it all
a little
Glenview?
bit? Yeah.
All right.
I think so, but I remember mostly at Glenview because I think that's when you were kind of when you're getting your start, correct? Like as far as getting into what you're doing now, that was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sure we can circle around to that because I think one of the things that you wanted to hear about was my career and how I landed where I did. But I want to get this out off the table because I mentioned Green Hills Golf Course because it's a par 3 here in Cincinnati. And I have 3 hole-in-ones, gentlemen. And they're on that golf course. And so, if you just want to go ahead and stop recording now, those are good hole-in-ones. Okay?
Okay, there's a couple holes out there that I can understand the argument behind. I can, just because of the distance. Because there are a couple holes that are not pitch and putts.
All right.
But I am black and white on this. I am. I'm sorry. No. I know a lot of people that are like, oh, well, if it's over 100 yards. I'm like, although there is like a really short par 3 in the U.S. Open this weekend. So
yeah, exactly.
But no, man, I appreciate that introduction. It was a long, hard road, brother. And if you want me to bring it full circle for you, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we told our golf stories, and we kind of talk about it all the time. Kind of give us your golf story. One, how you became interested in golf, and then how it led to where you are today.
Well, brother, I haven't always been in Cincinnati, and there was a time when you can't do it in this day and age, but my mom would put me on a plane from Austin, Texas, and I'd fly up to see my grandparents here in Cincinnati, and they'd take me to their condo down at Woodson Bend Resort, Lake Cumberland, Somerset, Kentucky. Great 18-hole golf course, and we do nothing but play golf down there. And that's where I found a love and a passion for the game. Family does the shake up, and we come home to Cincinnati. And I settled after high school in 2002 at Green Hills Golf Course, which, if any of my peers listen to this, there's 30 sprinkler heads on the entire golf course. That's one. And the longest hole, Justin, is 185 yards, if I do recall, and the shortest hole was 65 yards downhill.
Correct.
But
Yep.
following high school, I fell into that job with an old man who he'd chew on cigars and just have slobber running down his face. But he was the only one that would work there, and so he was excited to have a young dude on his crew with him. I took to it, man. I took to it. My mom will tell you that I took to it in the home lawn as well. But golf has always been something that I've been passionate about. Green Hills Golf Course is where I cut my teeth playing middle school golf, playing high school
Yep.
golf. That wasn't our home course because that's not a real course, right, Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But it was a great place to practice. It was a great place to practice, and to this day I credit my short game and my iron play to that place because your dining room table or your dining room at your house could have one of those putting surfaces in there. They're small, they're postage stamps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from Green Hills, that man with the cigar, his name's Charlie Wilkie. He will not listen to this podcast. Charlie Wilkie slid a pamphlet across the table to Rutgers University in their turfgrass school. And it was a phenomenal opportunity because I could go to school January, February, March when Cincinnati grass has got nothing going on. And then I
Yep.
can slide right back in and start being somebody. So for 2 years, January, February, March, I did that and came out of Rutgers, did an internship down at TPC Sawgrass for 2 years. As an intern, you held a shovel, but that was okay during a master renovation of the golf course. Looking behind you there, Mitch, you hear a lot about sub-air systems and everything like that the Masters has, and the temperature-controlled putting surfaces where they can change the surface temperature. We did some of that at Sawgrass. I was in charge
Nice.
with the interns to install 22 sub-air systems around all those putting surfaces. Last I heard, they're not even being used. Or
That's a hell of a system. That's a hell of a system to put in to not be used.
or they were changed, right? You're right. We won't get into PGA money right now, given the state of the
Yeah.
state of the environment. But down there at PGA headquarters, they did whatever they want, whenever they wanted, and that was okay. And it was a great place to learn. But then transferred through the TPC network to TPC Rivers Bend here in Cincinnati, and that's what brought me home, man. And then I played the Cincinnati game for a little bit. And I'm meeting you, Justin, at Glenview. Worked there for 7 years as a third man on the totem pole, or a foreman, if you will, and went on to California Golf Course, became the
Yep.
assistant superintendent. And so those were two public golf courses that I listed. I still wanted to see the private sector. So then I did 4 years with the Heritage Club in Mason, as they're one of the two assistant superintendents on property there. And then Wildwood gave me a shot, man. Wildwood gave me a shot in February 2017. I was an assistant superintendent. They could have hired somebody seasoned. But here I am now in my sixth growing season. I achieved my Class A certification by staying a superintendent for 3 years. And it's been a hell of a ride, man. It's been a hell of a ride, and there's still so much to learn. Learning so much every day. But Justin, I know what you do for a living, but I like to think that you're pretty jealous of my office.
Yeah.
And that's
so much so that I try so hard to be out there as much as I possibly
right,
can.
right. And that's why your wife's not on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She does not need to know how often I'm out there.
Right on.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah. So tell me. I know a little bit about this, but when we say Class A, I guess what are the levels of classes that you kind of go through when you're kind of moving up the totem pole?
Oh man, pop quiz hot shot. So Class C, you'd be an assistant superintendent, and all you have to do is have that designation as an assistant superintendent, and then also there are responsibilities that you hold to help achieve and become Class A Class C as an assistant. Class B, you are a superintendent, but you are not seasoned.
Gotcha.
Class A, you have, while you were Class B, you were working towards CEUs, you're working towards service credits, and then also tenure. And so you had to have XYZ educational points, uh, service points, which is, speaking engagements or being on the board of directors or any executive committee at the local level, which would be, for us, it's the Greater Cincinnati Golf Course Superintendents Association.
Yep.
Not confused with the GCGA, which is the Greater Cincinnati
Yeah.
Course Association, right? And so you had to be tenured. So I had to keep my job for 3 years. Check.
Yep.
I went on and, I've spoke for Ohio State, I think 3 times now. And then I've also served on the board of directors for the Miami Valley Golf Course Superintendents Association and then Greater Cincinnati. So that got me my
Gotcha.
service points between the talks. And I've also given a talk to the SOPGA. That one was unique because I stuck out like a sore thumb in that room. But nonetheless, those are good relationships to have and good people to meet.
Well, and I wanted you to kind of go through that because I knew a little bit about it. I knew the different classes. I didn't know what they kind of consisted of. I knew it consisted of a lot of different kind of hoops you have to jump through. But again, kind of bring an appreciation to, everybody just sees you out there driving around the cart, kind of managing things that are going on. They don't realize kind of what goes along with being a Class A superintendent, right? So
Sure.
That's kind of what I wanted to, so you could go through that because, again, I think people are like, oh, there he is, just driving around in the cart, and they don't realize the work that's put in to get to certain points, and especially in your career.
It's putting in the time. It's growing, not the game, but growing the grass and teaching others about it. And then, because Class A is a national distinguished classification, it's then also promoting the national aspect of it to the local chapters as well. And that's why, with Greater Cincinnati and Miami Valley and working at Wildwood, I had that opportunity to be north and south.
You're kind of in the middle there. Yeah.
Middle town.
Literally.
They really outdid themselves there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Mitch, I'll throw it over to you. I was taking up a lot there.
No, dude, this is such a learning opportunity for me because I'm one of those people that just sees, guys like Dan riding around the course and, I just go out and play, right? So,
and that's, we ride around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, just because it's raining today, right? So this is a super basic question, but I'll ask anyway. Like, what is your biggest challenge in terms of weather in managing a golf course? Is it too much rain, not enough rain? Like, what gives you the biggest challenge?
It's almost like a double-edged sword, right? What we're seeing right now is fine. I don't think you'll find a Cincinnati. I don't think you'll find a Cincinnati superintendent complain about what we're going through these last 48 hours after a 5-week drought. I was looking back at my records. It was May 7th was our last true measurable rainfall. Sure, some precipitation fell, but no. And then it is weather, but weather's tough for us. But we've got a plan. We've got the fungicides. We've got the chemical program in place. But then because of the weather, playing conditions change. So now, I'm not a golf professional, but I'm also managing your expectations as I speak to a couple of golfers. And I've said it more often than not. When I signed up to become a superintendent, I was not ready for the politics as well. And that's tough. That's tough. But here I'm at Wildwood. It's a member-owned facility. I'm at their mercy.
Yeah.
I'm at their mercy. So there's a lot of education that goes along with it too, Mitch. How can I coach them through it? How can I help them understand it? And while I'm out there riding around, I try and make those conversations. I try and have those conversations, and I want to ask about the round, and I want to see the ball roll and get some feedback from those guys. But, now, not so much. It's the humidity, it's the dew points, it's the soil temperatures when they spike, brother. And don't let me dive in too deep because I know we only got 40, 50 minutes here. But, I'll give you a quick synopsis, man. We're monitoring soil temperatures, we're monitoring dew points, evapotranspiration rates, which is how fast moisture is leaving the grass plant or the soil. Um, oh boy, if I said that wrong, somebody's going to call me out when they listen to this. But
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes for my Facebook arguments right
okay,
now. I need
all right, but
the detail's good. I like this.
okay, ET, yeah.
I'm just going to throw out a bunch of jumble, and no one's ever going to know the difference anyway. So,
And then from there, I mean, what's our height to cut? How tight are we? Is my chemical going to last 14 days, or is it only going to last 9 or 10? If we have too much succulence, that creates too much succulence, too much leaf growth, too much tissue, too much surface area for disease to breed. What if I can't mow before a chemical application? Then when I finally do mow, am I mowing off that chemical application? Grass species become resistant to turf grass chemicals. So that's a whole nother realm. Uh, I think I answered your question there. I told you exactly. I told you exactly what we worry about.
100%.
well, so on that, right? So as far as, because I think a lot of, I'm gonna say novice golfers. I think they're trust me, like I get in arguments all the time with people that have been playing golf for 30 years, and where we play at Hamilton Elks and I think Wildwood, they're relatively similar as far as like membership size and things like that. I don't know about your budget, but like I know about our budget. It's nowhere near some of these other private courses, right?
Sure.
So when I start talking to them, like, well, this is not up to par. Or they have this misconception of like they see TPC at Sawgrass, right? And they're like, why is our stuff like not like that? Or they don't think like, well, I'm not paying $50,000 a year to be a member here. They just see that course and go, why is our course not like that? So I guess is a lot of your job managing those expectations of being like, look, we're stretching this dollar to this point. Like it can be really good if the weather works out properly,
sure.
right? But like,
sure.
We're maybe is it a lot of managing those expectations of like, hey, here's how much money we have, and here's what we're doing with the course with that money.
Yeah. Of course it is. I mean, because the budget is outlined, and in my case, I have a number, and so let's meet and try not to beat that number, and then how far can we push it, or what I've become very good at, and I credit that. I'll stay humble here for a minute to my resume, but it's finding different ways to accomplish these goals. And just working around corners and being able to shift and adjust on the fly. Currently at Wildwood, we're going to attempt to grow grass in the summertime in Cincinnati from seed where the water runs. It's going to be a sweet trifecta trying to grow grass, but I think we've come up with a pretty good plan for erosion control, and it's also not irrigated, so there's that as well. But brother, it really is. It's managing those expectations and communicating and being a successful communicator, which I have and continue to struggle with. I see your superintendent using social media. We have behind the scenes an app for our membership where I try and touch base, every 30 days or so. But then
here's what we're doing.
But then I'm also bound on the golf course, so there's so much more communication than every 30 days. But when I'm responsible for XYZ dollars that they're paying for, I'd like them to know how it's being used and what it's being used for. And then also how, that I like them to see how me and my team are spending our time, on the property.
Yeah, for sure.
Because so much of what we do happens before we unlock, right? Happens before the pro shop door opens, and A lot of guys are teeing off and they're playing golf after work and they don't see us anywhere.
Yeah,
So
like what? Yeah, like
that's
are they even here? Yeah.
correct. And
Oh,
if we wanted to just take that a little bit further, green speeds in the morning versus green speeds in the afternoon. What what stimp meter readings I get in the morning versus what they could be in the afternoon when that leaf blade standing straight up or a thunder boomer rolled through at lunchtime, and it's going to change. And just as we're going to watch from Thursday to Sunday this weekend, that golf course is going to change.
yep,
So
yeah, for sure,
we hear it
absolutely.
all the time: the morning pairings versus the afternoon pairings. It's different sometimes for the best, and it's different sometimes for carnage. So
Yeah, yeah, yep, exactly,
This
exactly.
might be a dumb question, but I'm going to go for it. So, is your job 365 days a year? Do you get an off season?
we have an off season, right? And
Okay.
that's once our punting surfaces go to bed, and they stay a little dormant, they stop growing, right? We also make chemical applications in place to protect the grass plant. For me, I time that with my wife's birthday, somewhere right around December 10th is when I'm putting them to bed. That's come sooner. That's come later. Um,
Yeah,
but then, Mitch, I mean, the off season. That's when we're dropping the trees. That's when we're installing drain lines. Um, for us in the off season, we had some car path work done. We early spring 3 years ago, we kicked off a bunker renovation project, and then also too, I mean, that golf course isn't maintained by hand. All the entire fleet is managed through the winter. Those are your oil changes. That's your sharpening. That's so much preventative maintenance. We had a
Mm.
hydraulic leak this spring. And it's one of those things that can't be caught. But could we have fine tooth combed that machine a little bit better to find a bad hydraulic hose or something like that? And so
yeah. I saw that you posted that on Twitter, didn't you?
I did. I mean,
Yeah,
it happens. It happens. But
yeah,
for me, when it happened, you know, I was able to put a sod cutter on the putting surface, and we're blessed to have a nursery at Wildwood. And, stole it from the nursery and put it out
that
there, and
helps.
you know, yeah, I took the bad grass and I took the oil spilled grass and put it at the nursery. I might tweet that. I might tweet that one because that's what we could have been looking at, friends. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
so
exactly.
but yeah, if that happened in July, probably a different story.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, on that, when you're talking about off season and going into off seasons and maybe coming out of off seasons, I think the question that, but I think by far the question that I hear or comments about and everything like that, aerification,
sure,
right? What is? Let's talk about first the science behind airification, okay, and why you do it.
okay,
Because I kind of know why we do it, right? I know a little. I know enough to be dangerous,
all right.
but it's by far the number one thing that golfers bitch about. Am I wrong?
Yeah, especially because we like to do it when the golf course is getting really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So then we blow it up. We blow it up for 14 to 21 days, and then we give it right back to you.
Like, because you're doing it, it's twice a year, right? Most places are doing it twice, maybe even 3 times a year. Smaller punch, correct?
Sure, sure.
Like in the middle of the
Yeah.
year.
Um, I do it once a year. So come on over, Justin. Come on over to Wildwood. That was my recruiting. That,
Oh God,
that
I'm gonna get myself in trouble with this.
there's my
Holy crap!
there's my plug. But should I do it twice a year? Yeah, probably should. But well, I do some other things in the spring. But aerification is a there was a time I called it a necessary evil, but it is a necessary necessity to the golf course's success. It is, and I'll give you make it quick. I'm
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
that.
quit.
I'm
Yeah,
watching that
yeah,
clock
yeah,
in the
yeah,
corner.
yeah. I know you could probably go all
Yeah,
day. Yeah,
but we are in some cases we are removing organic material, and that's with a core aerification. So that's a plug that comes out and gets removed. Then we are
pulls it out.
replacing
Yep.
we are replacing that hole with sand. So now we have also amended the soil. Why did we use sand? When you're at the beach, is your sand soaking wet? Down near the water it is, but up high it's dry. It's pulling that moisture through. It's also where the water has been down low, it's much firmer to walk on. All right, we like firm, true, smooth putting surfaces. So that sand being there is phenomenal and a big part of what we do. Also, your children can dig in that sand with their little bitty hands. So can our leaf blades, so can our leaf plants' roots. They can penetrate that better than, I'm talking to a couple dudes from the Elks and old school style push-up greens. No different than Wildwood just celebrating their 100-year anniversary. Our greens are amended soils. They're not USGA specifications. They do not drain as they should. They don't have choker layers. At least in my case, I don't have any drainage underneath to my knowledge. Wildwood operates on a lot of natural runoff. So with aerification, having that sand there, we get better water infiltration. We've amended the soils for easier water uptake, root growth, and oxygen. And then there's guys like myself who I run a solid tank, so I don't pull a core. I just punch a hole, and then I fill that hole with sand. That's another type of aerification. But everything that I just covered there, minus the organic removal, remains the same. So no, I am not removing any organic material, but I feel through talks with my peers and the science behind it that I'm diluting the organic material with sand. And conventional guys are going in 5/8 diameter. I'm running big boys 3/4 cannonball holes. It's mean. And I'm putting out anywhere from 45 to 50 tons of sand across 3 acres, which is pretty solid. And so that would be your, let me see if I can get the sides right. That would be your red and white course, the old course. Mm-hmm. I would ballpark your greens to be about 3 acres there. You do have some bigger ones, so maybe a little bit bigger. And so that's two dump trucks worth of sand across those putting surfaces, but it's getting worked into that profile, and it's helping our grass plant stay strong. And we do it in the spring so that it can be strong through the summer, and we do it in the fall so that we can rebound from the summer. Does that help?
That's exactly what I needed to hear. Yeah. I needed some supportive arguments for my Facebook tiffs that I've got into.
And then you mentioned 3 times, because you might see the guys go out there and poke the little needle tines, and those are the real small holes. And that is a process of aerification, but we would call it venting, and that is just creating a gas exchange and getting some fresh air flow into that soil. Sometimes with sand,
especially
sometimes
around here
not.
in the summer.
Yeah. Especially around here.
All right, enough about aerification. I just needed that said, because I know a lot of guys that bitch about it at our course they listen to this, and I needed them to hear this, that it's a necessity, because everybody assumes that it's not a necessity, that you guys just love fucking everybody over. So
no. And guys, I tell you what, man, it's a nightmare for us too. It's tough. It ain't easy work.
That's why.
It ain't easy work.
That's exactly what I said.
It sucks for us too. I do 9 holes a day, so it sucks for me for 2 days, but it sucks for you guys a little bit longer. But if done and done properly, that in the fall also too, that grass plant is growing again, right? We keep it pretty tight. We baby it through the summer, and then finally it's time to grow again. So ideally, the heal time should be quicker. For those that might listen to this, I want to give you a fair 14 to 21 days, and then you can have it back.
And depending on Mother Nature, correct?
Yeah.
So, like, if you do it and you get a cold streak, which can happen here, right? And Mitch, this, like, when we did ours in the spring, it was 3 days, it was 75 degrees, and then the 4th day, the day after they got done doing everything, we had a frost. Well, that healing process is probably pretty complicated at that point once a frost hits after you do that.
It's just
I would imagine.
you know that frost didn't hurt, but what it did was change the soil temperatures. And so now all of a sudden that grass plant doesn't want to wake up. Your team at the Elks thought it was going to wake up, and Mother Nature served us a curveball.
Yep.
You know, it's fickle. It's fickle for sure, and that's what that's where it comes back to the expectations and everything like that. Because you boys were ripping ready to play golf, but maybe the golf course wasn't ready for you to play golf. Yeah.
Probably not.
Mhm.
No.
All right, well, I got a question. So, USGA came out with the whole modified flight golf ball ruling they're looking to implement, right? And a big reason for them doing that, at least from stuff I've heard, is like they talk a lot about it, the sustainability of the game as a whole, and golf course sizes and people in your position not being able to properly handle the technology and stuff to be able to expand the courses in the way that would fit the distance they're seeing.
Mhm.
Is that something that actually does that come into play in your role where you're at?
Well, the guys are hitting the ball farther. Ain't no maybes.
Right.
It's been talked about. Are you alluding to Wildwood or just as a superintendent? How does that?
Good question. I'm just thinking in terms of a superintendent of someone like you who's at managing a course
Okay.
that's not necessarily hosting PGA Tour events, right? But like a reason the USGA talked about that is because they manage the game globally, and they're saying the footprint of golf courses just can't keep expanding to suit technology advances. Like we have to cut that off at some point.
Right. And then let me spin that question right back around on you, man. Because are you prepared for an assessment to stretch your golf course out and move those greens and move those tees?
No.
No. Some club.
Ask the people at Magatiwa.
You're in for a treat next year when you try and qualify there, Justin. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Have you seen the new scorecard?
I have. Yeah.
Anyways, and, so look where these events are being held, right? To stretch these boys out.
Yep.
Look at the cash flow, right? I mean, follow the paper. They ain't calling Hamilton Elks. They ain't calling Wildwood.
No.
Cool story if they did.
No, and it's funny, like from a standpoint of like we're not obviously the courses where you're at, and as much as we love them, they're not going to host PGA tournaments, right?
No.
Not going to happen, right? But from a standpoint of like a local golf thing, right? Hamilton Elks they host junior tournaments, and they have the senior city championship there this year. It's as much as it has defense for greens and things like that, and there's some defenses to the course. It's probably too short to have a Met championship at, right? Like you have these college kids out here hitting the ball, just in tournaments I played in last year. I had a kid hitting a 2-iron, 310 yards off the tee. Like he takes that out to a course like ours, 68's going to be par, right? Mm-hmm. If he's hitting the ball that far. So I think in terms of that, I think it limits courses what they can host even more, especially because I don't know, we barely have land to expand if we really wanted to. I've been up to Wildwood. It's been a little while, but I mean, I'm sure you guys are probably limited on your ability to expand, probably financially and land wise.
Of course. Yeah, we are, man. There are some places. There are some places we can stretch out, but there's no reaching 7,000 yards or beyond. And then also too, like I ask myself, and I've questioned myself this at some of the other facilities that I've worked at outside of Sawgrass. I wonder. I got to think that the guys would pick apart our golf course, but they're also going to expect 35, 40 yards of roll, which I'm sorry, I'm not providing that. And my greens might be too receptive that they just zip them off every putting surface. I don't know. So that's kind of curious. That's something that I've always been curious about. They're going to have a wedge in everywhere, but when they do hit a fairway and it doesn't release, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Right.
You know, yeah. Mitch. I don't know if that answered your question entirely, but it's definitely talked about. And I'm watching guys hit the ball longer. And Justin, I'll follow up with this podcast because a Kent State player and a recent graduate from UK in the SEC golf team, a couple buddies of mine came out and played. And I'm curious to know what they shot. I don't know if they know what they shot because there was some cash just being thrown around playing a different game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They were playing banker. I don't know nothing about it.
God, that sounds dangerous. I don't even know. I don't know if I want anything to do with that.
Before anyone teed off, they hollered 2, 3, or 5, and that was the price that was paid on that golf hole.
Oh God.
So, but yeah, they seem to enjoy the golf course, and these boys were bombing the ball.
Yeah.
I'm a big boy, but I ain't long. I like to stay consistent. And this swing speed training and all this stuff that these boys are doing that has now forced everybody's hand to let's make a new golf ball or let's redesign this golf course.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
And I think you said it perfectly because if you look at where the U.S. Opens are gonna, they kind of set them out, and they're at only 6 different golf courses, right? Over the next, and they kind of are going to repeat. I think, number 2 down in North Carolina, that they've signed on for 4 of them,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because that's a course that they have the money to be able to change, lengthen it, whatever they need to do.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate because there's so many really, really good golf courses that I think can host these events that, unless they roll it back for these guys, I just don't, you're going to be kind of limited in where you can host it and not have them shoot, 15 under. So,
Right.
And they definitely don't want that. Right.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, I won't talk too much about it, but just went to Hilton Head Island and played Harbor Town. Justin, you and I spoke about this prior to.
You sent me a picture last week.
and I pegged it where the big boys pegged it on the front 9, and I will not do that ever again. We'll just leave it at that. But
it's a different game from back there. Yeah. And we always play that. I mean, we play the tips or whatever, but it's a whole different, that's where their what we're usually playing at is their member tees at some of those courses.
Right.
So,
right.
It's a whole different ball game back there.
Yeah.
Hitting a 5 iron into the green instead of a 9 iron. That takes a different, scoring, talent, I guess.
For sure.
For sure. We all lack loft in this chat right now. So
good. Like-minded people.
Oh, Mitch, you want to kick off? We'll do our last 6 questions here. Our 6 packs of rapid fire questions.
We're gonna do the lightning round.
You want to kick it off, Mitch?
Well, I know Dan's been watching the clock. I'm curious, Dan, you got anything for us before we do that?
Yeah.
Fella, I mean, I'm probably about 3 episodes in with you fellas. So I like to think I know a little bit, but
I appreciate
Mitch.
that.
Mitch, I know what Justin does from social media. What about you, brother? Take a moment on your own podcast to tell us about yourself.
Oh God, do you mean professionally, personally? What?
Sure, yeah, both. Dad life, and what do you do for a living, brother?
Dad life, I've got 2 boys, 5-year-old, and we've got a 4-month-old going on 5 months here. Just came around in January, so
he doesn't know that girl dad life.
I don't.
And that boy energy is next level too.
It is, yeah. That's all I can say for sure. And then professionally, so I work in marketing. I'm at Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce actually right now. My background is I came up through writing and got into marketing that way. So
okay,
that's what I'm up to. So yeah, you'll Justin and I kind of co-own the social media efforts for the Back 9 6-pack. It's kind of funny because look, I love Justin to death. I have to edit his posts. He'll post something and I'm like, I go in there and I got to clean up the grammar. I got to do all that stuff. So it's kind of, I'm quality control here at the Back 9 6-pack.
Very well.
You know it's bad. So Dan, you haven't made it this far. So I just found out yesterday that I'm getting inducted into the Coring Hall of Fame. And I had to, yeah, awesome. I'm super excited about it. But I became anxious immediately when the guy's like, hey, you need to type up this like biography, about what you did in golf and this and that. I immediately came just very like anxious because I'm like, I'm gonna have to type this up myself. I actually thought about texting Mitch, like, can you type this up for me?
No. Hey.
And it's bad. It's bad when I send it to my wife. I'm like, proofread this. She goes, that's the best thing you've ever written.
Have you sent it?
And I'm like, she's like, I mean, there's still mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but like grammatically, you only have like 7 or 8 things wrong here. I'm like, oh, okay,
solid.
I'm better at this than I thought.
Solid. But, did you send it out? Because I was gonna provide a tip. Have you sent it?
I just sent it today. I had to get it into him by tomorrow.
All right.
So
all right. Well, I was listening to another
I'll send it to you.
I was listening to another golf podcast, and it was all about ChatGPT. Yeah. What if you just fed it in there and let some robot clean it up for you, bud?
That's actually not a bad idea. Damn, why didn't I think of that?
Dude, I haven't dove into it yet. I got a buddy that's big into it. That AI stuff, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And
it's going to make people like me seem a lot smarter than we actually are.
Because it was a Turfgrass podcast, they were feeding it questions like you fed me questions tonight. And I'll be damned. I mean, it was 80-90%. Spitting back out the science of what we do.
That's kind of crazy.
Now all of a sudden, and because you guys are asking me questions, I want to ask you: Are either of you men involved with your club on any of the committees or chairmans or anything like that?
I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I'm gonna let Mitch go first, and then
I'm not currently.
Okay.
I would love to be a part of the Greens Committee. I have no idea what that would entail. I don't know if they're even looking for people to do it, but I'm fascinated by all of it. So
I actually applied for the Greens Committee last year.
Denied.
Yeah, I didn't get in, and part of me gets it, right? Like, they see a young guy and they immediately think like, oh, okay, he's been around golf for, 10 years or whatever. And I definitely have a different background. Now, do I know the ins and outs of – but I do know what a good course setup looks like, right? Like, we talk about it all the time on here, like, what we like and don't like about certain golf courses and, but that's where I was like, okay. But I think eventually I'm going to try again. There's always people coming in and out.
Yeah.
But that's definitely the one I want to serve on, and then Men's Golf Association as well. But we are relatively new members out there. I mean, I'm going into my 5th year.
Right.
Mitch, what are you, 3 years in?
Yeah, 4.
So at some point, yeah, definitely, I want to serve. But the good thing is now that I'm interested in that, and I think I know Mitch does this too. We talk to a lot of the guys that serve on those committees, right? So at some point, hopefully they'll hand over the reins, and I'm a big believer of doing just do less, right? Yeah, it's like the guy in what movie is that? He's like, no, do less, like
forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That's me.
You're
like, when it comes to a golf course, especially these older ones like Wildwood, and we've got a ton of them in Cincinnati. It's like, don't overthink it. Like, there's no reason to overthink this. This course is. There might be some minor changes you can make, but that's my belief as far as golf course setup, especially with courses that are over 100, over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So,
no, I love that. I love that, and just because I get the opportunity to speak to a couple golfers at a club, if that opportunity ever comes your way, man, just listen, try and see it from my side. For a little bit, for the betterment of the whole club, and
100%.
I read a good article, and I wonder if I can find it again and forward it along to you. But it was a quick, just communication is paramount, fellas. And being in touch, whether you're on the greens chair or anything like that, just staying in touch and staying in contact, and Mother Nature is not an excuse, but you will hear about her a lot from us
Yeah.
because, and then it it was said to me by a very, very good superintendent, um, recently moved to Kentucky, and I'll leave it at that, who, who said, golf is a game that's played outside, and every day is different, and it is this, and that's what's great, right? I mean, that's what's great
Yep.
about this game is that you get the opportunity to play 18 holes any given day, play 9 holes any given day. It's gonna be different,
Yep.
and at that point,
100%.
it's not on us to adjust. That's what that practice green's there for. That's what that chipping range is there for. To let's figure out how this golf course is responding and go to work and take on that new challenge on a Tuesday that might be a different challenge on a Wednesday. But yeah, there we go. There we go. I got sentimental
I
I
like
got
that.
sentimental for a minute, man.
Yeah, I like
It,
that. I love
it
I
is
that.
love
a
it.
Yeah.
it is a outdoor game that is dictated by the conditions that are provided on that day. You have my word that we will go to work for you every day. We will do what we got to do.
Yep.
But we can't control that precipitation. We can't control that windstorm. The sky's the limit. Saying that's silly to say all that, but it's tough. But so is this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You saw my last tournament I played in. This golf is very hard.
Golf is very hard.
And it can be very different from a 9:30 tee time to a 2 o'clock tee time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very different.
Yep.
But no, I like that. I like that a lot. All right, Mitch, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, let's kick it off.
Let's
All
kick
right.
it off.
5 of these things have to do with your work. The last one, a little bit more of a fun one.
Go ahead.
Number 1, what's the best part of the job?
Sunrise.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
You guys are a little higher in Middletown, too.
Even
You probably get some.
oh, it's
sunrises
wicked.
there,
Yeah.
too.
So they tell me right behind 5T is Mum University. They say that's the highest point in our county. And it's amazing how the top of my golf course versus the bottom of the golf course will react. As we're just coming
That's
out of a
pretty
Mother
cool.
Nature conversation. Yes. But
Yeah,
it's that sunrise, man. It's there's no phones ringing. I'm not greeted by secretaries. My email's not blowing up. I don't have to sit down at a computer, outside of updating a website. But
yeah,
it's every morning.
I like it.
It's every morning, and the occasional sunset as well. So the best part of my job is about working outside, being outside. But I look forward
I
to
like it.
even on a stormy morning. That sunrise is good by me.
All right. Well, the best part. If that's the best part. There's got to be a worse part. Without getting yourself in too much trouble.
No trouble. I'll keep it simple, man. And it's something that I think we all deal with. Is that we put so much into something that's not ours, right?
I never thought of it that way.
We put so much into something that's not ours, brother, and it weighs heavy on us often. Because yes, it's our job. Yes, but it is a living, breathing thing that we are in charge of keeping alive, and that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough, and so we
never thought
don't
of it that
like
way.
to lose grass, but when we are, I'm going to circle back to this because y'all said it a lot in the beginning. When we are driving around, 90% of the time we are driving around looking at what's bad. We don't care about what's good. So every day I'm coming to work looking at what's bad. How do I make that better? And because caring for something that ain't ours, but how can we make it better and push it forward? So that's the hardest part of our job is finding that it's not. You don't want to find a disconnect because at that point you're just complacent. But that's what's tough. That's what's tough.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. What's the first thing you do when you get to work in the morning?
Take a shit.
Me too. Hey, our jobs aren't that different, actually. I love it. I love
You're
that.
welcome. Oh,
Oh, that's
or
great.
did you want to know about what I actually accomplished?
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
No.
no. That's exactly what I wanted to know.
No, that's a perfect answer.
We're gonna leave it there.
You and 99 other.
I mean,
You're not so much different than everybody
you said
else.
something about rapid fire, but for Mitch, true story.
All right, you know what? We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave that one there.
So I
That's it.
don't even get to it.
It's
I
answered.
can't elaborate. All right, sounds good. All right, it's different every day.
All right. This could be the same answer. What's the one thing you can't do your job without? Absolutely can't do your job without.
A team.
If you had to pick one thing.
A team. Is that
Oh,
is that a good answer?
We were sitting here thinking like a tool or something.
Nah, dude. Right? We can. There's no way I can do this alone.
Yeah.
And that old man at Green Hills Golf Course, he got it done alone. But he was a tough individual when I finally met him. He was excited to have a young dude full of piss and vinegar on his team. And that golf course.
I remember that. I do remember that guy being out there. I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't remember.
Yeah, dog.
I didn't remember his name before you said it, but
yeah.
I just remember he's one of the guys that found me in a middle school match after I got cranked in the head on like number 6 by a ball coming over the pine trees.
Ouch. I know exactly where you're at.
He was, yeah. It came right over the pine trees, hit me right in the head.
Damn.
I was out.
Yeah.
Out. Oh, let's see. All right. Next one, Mitch.
Yeah. All right. What's the craziest thing you ever come across on the job?
God.
It probably either had to be at Glenview or California because there must be some days that I would walk onto the course at like way after you guys got there and find some crazy crap.
Oh, bud. Items sold at Hustler Hollywood. We'll just leave it at that.
Love it.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yep. There's a.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh.
Those aren't divots or ball marks next to said item either. So, sorry, Apple's going to kick you off their community when you post this thing, man.
No, there's far worse stuff. We just checked that explicit box and we're covered.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh. All right, last one. The best question that we always ask is the people. So, last guy we had on was a caddy. It's like, what do you drink after you get done caddying? So when you're done with the day, you get home. What's your go-to drink? Like, there's nothing better than this to me, but I know everybody's taste buds are a little different.
So I'm at home, or am I on the patio? Since you got the good hat on, where am I at?
Let's start with the patio.
All right. If I'm on the patio, and this will be Friday after the Father's Day shootout with my daughter, we're going Modelo Especial.
By the way, number two took over the number 2 beer in the country. By the way, that I just found that out.
It's a strong beer. It's a strong beer.
I don't drink much of it, but I've heard. Apparently, it's very popular.
Yep. So that's my patio beer at Wildwood. When I'm coming home, you saw it here tonight, fellas. I'm sipping that brown water from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like it.
And recently, we've been blessed coming out of our centennial year. We got to pick out a couple barrels. We've got our 2 Wildwood bourbons that have been released to the membership, and the 3rd should be coming soon. So I'm pretty partial to those bottles, but they're open. They're open, and they're there to be shared. So,
where did the barrels come from? Just out of curiosity.
2 from Woodford, and then the latest one and the greatest one. We're waiting on one from Woodford still, but the best one, it's a Old Forester barrel strength at 133.3%. Caliente. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you drank too much of that one night, you probably won't get to the course on time.
One glass. We want that bottle. I want that bottle to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, good stuff. Well, we'll finish this up. I appreciate it. I really do. Like I said, I texted you today as like a lot of misconceptions with what you guys do and the benefits that you guys add to every golf course, not just the ones we play, but even your peers. High amount of respect from us too for what you guys do.
And dudes, that's twofold, right? I mean, we have a job because of y'all. So much respect. I appreciate you guys thinking of me. I hope I didn't let you down. I hope I did due diligence to my peers as well.
Yeah, you did.
And,
you did.
I'm looking at 53 minutes, 32 seconds. We did pretty well.
Yeah, we did.
I'm going to let you guys close it, but I'm also going to say when you're coming to play. Because you got a place to play a while.
We're going soon. Very soon. Right. Very, very soon. We got to get, again, I can work my schedule. We got to get that guy on tap here.
Yeah. I got some PTO coming up. We'll work something out for sure.
Good.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, well, yep. We'll be up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep me in mind.
I'll bring you some Modelo Especial too.
We got that. Come on up. see our fine selection of patio beers there, Justin.
Oh. Heck yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate it again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, dudes. Have a good night. Thank you, fellas.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
All right, Dan's a man, right? That's what we can all agree to.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that
By
was
the way, he is one of us when we asked him the first thing he does when he goes to work.
That's the obvious takeaway.
I swear to God, I was not expecting, we're going to release the video when he answers that question, but I remember just being like, I think that's what everybody does, but that was definitely not the answer I was thinking he was going to give.
So good. And I mean, look, when he talks a lot about it, about the aeration and stuff, and he's like, you used to call it a necessary evil, but basically he was like, it's just necessary.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So stop bitching about the fucking aeration holes, everybody. That's what you get out of this. If you didn't get anything out of this interview, that's exactly what you should get out of this interview. All right, I'm going to get off my high horse here.
Yeah. So we'll get to Dan on the patio one day, but for now,
we're going to go
me
play
and you on the patio.
Yeah, we're going to go play some golf with them. But yeah, let's hop right into it.
Who's asking this week? You keep track of this, not me.
It's you first this week.
All
so
right,
anything goes on the patio. Let's hop into this. I'm ready.
I'm back to a golf question this week. So we talked about it last week. The order of which, how you'd rank the majors you'd want to win. U.S. Open was at the top for you.
Yep.
Obviously, U.S. Open this week. A lot said about the course. So I'm curious. If you win the U.S. Open, you get to pick what course you won that U.S. Open on. What course are you picking?
That's a great question. Yeah, there's been so many great moments in U.S. Open history. But I would. You're gonna hate this answer.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna hate it. Actually, no. Only because I love the course. I think it'd have to be Shinnecock.
Okay.
If it wasn't Shinnecock, it'd be number 2. Like Pinehurst number 2.
I don't hate either of those answers.
I was gonna say Torrey Pines only because of the Tiger Woods thing.
Oh,
but
we would have had words then.
I've been to Torrey Pines. I've never played it, but I've been there. And look, it's kind of one of those courses. It's like the views overshadow the actual course, right? Like you kind of forget how average the course is just because how awesome the views are. But Shinnecock is just one of those courses that's just like, yeah, it would be that one.
Yeah, and I think doing it in New York too, with like that atmosphere.
Yeah, and like those fans, again, good sports fans up there. And then you could like get done, go over and party in New York City. Like it'd be Liddy McTitty after winning at Shinnecock. So that would be my very short answer, but that would be where I'd want to win it. Where would you want to win it?
There's so many different ways we could go. Pebble like just has that historic Tom Watson, Tiger. I think Jack won there, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like the list of names that have won at Pebble is obvious. Number 2, the home of golf, Donald Ross, all that would be fantastic. I agree with you, Shinny. Like it's
just a great course.
I got down to 2, Shinny and Oakmont.
Oakmont would be a pretty good one, too.
And I think Oakmont is within
Oakmont's such a cool course,
of
though.
recent
God.
exactly of recent memories of like U.S. Opens. Like for whatever reason, Oakmont just sticks out in my head as like
Yeah.
the sickest course that
It's good.
I've watched. Basically,
I've played it on PGA 2K a lot, too. So, like, I bet I could go out to Oakmont and probably know some of the reads on the
Yeah.
greens, but
and like you think back on like some of the more memorable golf shots in the U.S. Open within our lifetime, right? Like, sure, there's plenty from the past couple decades, but like the 2016, like DJ shot into 18. With like that crowd
Yeah, that
and
was
to
pretty
like
good.
stuff it and
Yeah.
go win it for his first.
that was a good US Open.
Was just
Yeah.
so sick. I think that's one where like the crowd, they can get so many people there because it's basically just like an open farm field.
That's one of the places that I was kind of talking about. It's like they just can,
And they got this
like, oh, we need stands. Like, just make the course bigger.
they got
like,
the
you know
sick
what I mean?
like there's like the church pew bunkers. You
Yeah,
got the
the
clubhouse is
church
like the
pews are
old
so
school.
cool. Oh.
Like Oakmont would be really, really cool.
Yeah, Oakmont would be good.
But I think it's down to those
And that's in Pennsylvania, right? So,
Yeah.
again, Pennsylvania sports fans, like, we know about Philadelphia, Pittsburgh sports, like, they're crazy sports fans. I think that'd be another cool place to, like, just the energy around the fans
Yeah,
and
and I
stuff
mean-
like that would be probably pretty high energy.
We're from Ohio too. We could get, good groups of our friends
Heck
and
yeah,
family
it's, like,
out there.
local. Yeah.
That'd be a cool one.
That would be cool. That would be cool. All right, you ready for mine? It's not controversial this week. I'm not going to put us in a corner.
Yeah, put me in the hot seat.
Get us in trouble with our spouses. That's not. Well, I mean, if you turn this into a question where you get in trouble, that is not on me.
Fair.
All right. So I saw this question on Twitter, and I thought it was really cool. And there were I kind of lean on both sides of the fence, but I think I know where I land. Would you rather visit the past or visit the future?
God, that's a good question.
I mean, it's tough.
This is one of
Because
those,
there's a lot of drawbacks to both of them, right?
Yeah, this is one of those just like psychological type, right? This like says something about who you are kind of question.
Yeah, if there's any psychiatrists or therapists listen to this, please don't read too much into this.
I think I'm gonna go future. Not necessarily because I want to like know what happens, quote unquote.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen the Back to the Futures when he actually goes into the future, like you want to like gamble on games when you get back, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I don't really care about that or like seeing, if you want to get like super, I don't know, morbid or whatever about it, like seeing how I die or whatever. Like I don't even care about that so much. I just kind of want to just see where we're at, see where we're heading.
Yeah, but that was the. I'll let you finish.
I
and
also
I'll kinda give you
don't.
my reason.
I think there's something about going to the past that like maybe you feel like you have regrets or stuff you want to change or whatever. Now, granted, I get it. You could go like way back, and you could go like,
or you can go anywhere in future, right? It doesn't even
Yeah.
have to be your past. It doesn't even have to be your past.
yeah, it
can
doesn't have
just
to be your past or
in
future,
general.
right? So, I mean, I guess there is something going to the past. Like if you want to see like some historical moments and stuff, and like actually see what went down beyond what was just told,
Yeah,
right?
That
That's interesting. It's a
good
true
point.
like do your own research moment.
that's
But I just kind of, I don't know. I think of myself as an optimist. I would kind of like to see the future and hope that we're headed in the right direction. So,
all right. Well, so my thought process behind this was my whole thing is I didn't want to go into the future because I didn't want to see when I died. Like, because then when I come back, then I'm like, all right, like I have 28 years to live, like like, or oh god, I only have 3 years to live, and like blow all my money or whatever. That was my thought process. Like, I would love to see where things go. I mean, like, we're holding these things in our hand, right? They're called cell phones. Like, these things are mini computers now. You go back 10 years ago, they're 15 years ago, they weren't this. Yeah, you couldn't do this. So, like, if you were 15 years ago and came to now, you'd be like, what the hell are they? What do you mean I can do this on my phone, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the cool part about going in the future. But I wouldn't want to see when I died. Like if I go to the future and like, God forbid, like someone's missing, you know what I mean? Like I just wouldn't want to know that stuff.
Sure.
So I was thinking I'd rather go to the past. There's a lot of cool things that happened in the past we've read about, right? But I was like, it would be cool to go back and like experience, the after World War II 40s, like when things were roaring, like the Roaring 20s, like as crazy as it sounds, and this is going to sound so stupid because of the name of our podcast, but like, what was it like growing up in Prohibition? Like,
check out some speakeasies.
Yeah, like the whiskey runners and stuff like that. Like that stuff to me would be like so cool to like actually witness in person.
Sure.
For me, like my family's relatively young to this country. Like my dad's side of the family, they came over in the early 1900s. It's like going back and like seeing how their trip came from there to here. Like that stuff would be cool to me. I'm a history buff though too, so I'm like, there's so many different things. Morbidly, Danielle was like, well, she's teacher. They read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas this year. Very sad story about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I know so much about it. Like, not that I would want to live through the Holocaust. Like, God forbid, no one wants to live through that, right? But she was just like, I would like to see, like, when they were freed and, like, what was that like? Like, just from a perspective of somebody, like, outside of that, like, witnessing it ending, right? And I was like, well, I never thought about it that way. I'm talking about like going back to see Babe Ruth play baseball and stuff. Like I'm talking about all this stuff. So I said the past. I would definitely go in the past. I just don't want to see the future. Not because I think it's going to be bad. I think a lot of the best part about the future is just like the unknown, right? So I just wouldn't want to know anything. That's kind of my take.
Yeah, I guess there's something that would give me peace of mind about the trajectory being right, in my opinion, at least. And I don't. That's just such a good question, really. I'm like you now. I obviously see it from both sides, but I think the future. I want to go see what's up.
Yeah, I get that.
But now, if I go there and it's just like fucking bleak, that would be a tough scene. Which it could.
Yeah, I mean,
who can say?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you go in the future, like. What do you come back to now and you're like, God damn, like, dude, I don't even want to be there. Like, I don't know. It's just,
or you come back and you got a cause to fight for, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. But this is not on here, and I forgot to tell you about it. But I did have a text for a fan question.
Oh, sure, we can do that here at the end. We got nothing else to close out with.
They want to remain anonymous.
Oh God.
Then when you hear the question, you're going to understand why. What is your take on the proper amount of time that you spend on the patio after a round of golf?
Was this Danielle?
No, this wasn't actually.
The proper
This
amount?
was a man, and he didn't want to put his name on it because his wife actually has listened to a couple episodes.
One, I think you got to put your name on it. We'll just period point blank.
Well,
it's
let
fine.
him be.
We'll let him be anonymous, but I don't know. Anyway,
he's a newer golfer though.
Okay, that's fine.
So he doesn't know how to tiptoe the line like we do. Maybe.
The problem is there's not really a direct answer in my opinion. This is you got to choose your own adventure, feel the situation out.
How pissed do you want your significant other?
Well, maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like, okay, you actually have like, we have kids, like they have games, like, right?
Yeah.
You only have so much time. You got to go to a wedding. You got this family function over here.
He didn't say this, but let's just say per se, no games, nothing going on.
Just what's the appropriate time?
Like where like you're not going to get in trouble.
I think 30 minutes is acceptable.
Yeah, I said 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, 30 feels fine. Especially because we play pretty quick at the Elks. I mean, it's 4-hour rounds most times, unless you really
30 to 45 minutes is like, you probably drink a couple and then head out. Like,
yeah.
If there's nothing big going on, right?
This is a good question, though. I
get why he didn't want to put his name on it, though, because then I'm kind of painting him in the corner. It's like,
sure.
If his wife hears this and goes, well, they said 45 minutes, and it's like, then he spends 2 hours on the patio, and then we look like the bad guys. So I get that.
I mean, look, like I said, it's dependent on the situation, right? Like Ryan, his dad had the graduation party after the McGonagall that one year, and we were just waiting.
4 hour.
It was at the Elks, and we were just waiting for everyone else to get there. So yeah, we spent multiple hours on the patio.
Yeah.
Like it just,
It just
You got to
depends.
read the room, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to sit up there by yourself. Like, once everybody starts leaving, I mean, I guess you could sit up there by yourself. But
I respect if anyone does, but for me, if
yeah,
it's a
I'm
solo,
sitting there by myself,
I'm gone.
out.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Oh, but I thought that was a good question.
No, that was great. That was a great addendum to the Patio Beers segment.
Yep.
Okay. I messed around. I had an off day today. I made our Facebook account.
I saw that.
So that's live. Instagram's being real weird about connecting it. We'll take that offline. We'll figure that out. But there's a Facebook account for us. Go follow us, like whatever the Facebook protocols are.
For the grandma and grandpas, because I think that's all that's on Facebook nowadays. No offense.
It took us this is our 11th episode and we have one now. So I mean, we
Yeah.
were like our parents going to Facebook, right? We were just late to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Travelers Championship this week. Another designated event. This is like the Hilton Head situation again.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was designated or not,
Yep.
but I'm like, man,
West
you went
Coast
through
to
a
East
grinder.
Coast. I mean, you're going from LA to Hartford, right?
I mean, yeah, this would, if you get one to skip, this would have been my one that I would have skipped.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have skipped the other one.
I hope I'm not lying. I'm pretty sure it's a designated event.
I think it is.
Yeah.
No, I think it is. Yeah, I thought it was. That's why I said that. But I was like, then again, I was like, man, I was like another one after a major. But the schedule this year kind of weird.
Yeah,
So,
this tournament's usually pretty fun though, so I'll be interested to see if it keeps its juice because usually it's a good time.
Yeah.
You got second round of the Met, Elks Run. Go get
Yeah,
it tomorrow.
We'll see how things go. Maybe do a live reaction video or something.
Hopefully you don't need too much rain gear. Don't fall in any bunkers.
No. We're gonna, like I said, I was sitting in prime real estate off the tee all day today. So hopefully we're not one leg up in a bunker anymore.
Yeah.
Trying to be an athlete.
We're
trying to be an athlete from the fairway
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Trust the process.
Yep.
The putts will start dropping.
Yep.
All right. Good luck to you, my man. Everyone else, we will see you next week. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.